Also, Atlas, please don't remake Persona 4. We wouldn't be able to handle it.
You ever heard of the Midnight Channel?
Oh no, they're actually remaking Persona 4? The thing I told them not to do? Oh man, I don't even want to look at the game. If I look at the game, I'm gonna say it looks like... Wait, this looks great, actually. Fantastic, even.
No! Get out of here! Don't look at me!
I mean, it's very hard to impress me with higher fidelity cutscenes, but this looks amazing. Oh my god. And oh my god, this music! I know for a fact this is going to be stuck in my head for the next 7 months. And this is the most stylish Persona 4 has ever looked. And is that Cross Slash from Arena? Alright, Atlas, you got me.
Hey, it's me, John Sega.
John Sega? What are you doing?
We have a broadcast on the 18th. Talk about Persona 4 Revival.
Or else...
Or we're gonna make you play Young Justice Legacy again. I can't even be loud about that one. That's just kind of depressing.
Never did I think in 2026 I'd be talking about Persona again. There had to be something big in order for me to actually talk about it. And when you're remaking one of my favorite games in the entire franchise and one of my favorite RPGs of all times right next to Star Ocean 2, honestly, I was a bit skeptical when it came to Persona 4 Revival, just the fact that it exists and we're remaking Persona 4. But from what Atlas has been showing and what I've been seeing from the game, I am incredibly excited for it. I played the original on PlayStation 2 back in high school, and not only seeing these characters again, but seeing them in this high fidelity in this way gets me even more excited for this remake. Luckily with the Revival broadcast, we have a lot of information to go over, so let's start from the top. First off, I do want to talk about the overall look and aesthetic of the game. Something I do like about Persona 4 Revival, and yes, this does translate to 3 Reload, is that for remakes, they usually try to keep everything consistent in regards to how the character models look and to how the 2D animated cutscenes look. When you think about older games, and to an extent even the original Persona 4, the reason they had the original 2D animated cutscenes was to showcase how the world and characters looked, and the intent of the artists and designs. They updated the graphics for the character models in the world to look more consistent with those animated cutscenes. I will always love the original models from the original Persona 3 and Persona 4, but I'm not gonna lie, these new models look great. It's also nice that in Revival, they really expanded upon giving a complete experience to the player. More minor characters were given portraits, all social link dialogue will be fully voiced, and even with the cutscenes, I really like that they animated new 3D cutscenes in order to better emphasize the story. I think the moment I was sold on the remake was seeing Shadow Chie. The fact that all the shadow transformations are going to be fully animated cutscenes just is really exciting to me. But even with Shadow Chie, you can see her mannerisms, how much she enjoys torturing her. I love that. And most likely, I would assume that Atlas would want to do that in the original game, but due to budget and time constraints, they couldn't. But even just simple things like that makes me realize that they do want to expand upon Persona 4 and its story. Something that's really cool about the aesthetics, and someone on Twitter has pointed out, it seems that Atlas went back to the drawing board to the original concept art of Persona 4 and used that as a base to build on when it comes to the menus and UI. Yeah, the menu has the protagonist again, but you do see like a TV effect going on, and when you go on from the menus, you can kind of see where they got the ideas from the original concept art of Persona 4's UI and menus. When it comes to pause menus, Atlas is king, and I'm glad they took some ideas from the original concept art in order to put them in Revival. In regards to Persona 4 and its story, there is the English voice acting. The thing is, there were all new people who were brought to voice the characters in Persona 4 Revival. And to be completely honest, I have never heard of any of these voice actors, and usually that gets me more excited for a dub. While I have heard of Brianna, who plays Yukiko because she was Rin and Catherine in Full Body, honestly, I will miss the original voice actors for Persona 4, and Godspeeds to them, my heart is still with you, but for Revival, I still want to give the new actors a chance. They do sound a little similar to the old voice actors, but they're trying to give a different take on the character. Like protagonist, or you know what, I'm just gonna call him Narukami because I'm used to that. Yu sounds gruffer or deeper in his delivery. Chie sounds like she's going with the balance with her original actor and her golden voice actor. And honestly, congratulations to Ari Thrash. No matter what, it's always awesome to see your dreams come true, and I'm excited to hear your performance as Marie as well. The only people that have been announced are the main four and Marie, so we're just gonna have to wait and see who voices everyone else. However, from the snippets I've heard, hearing Nanako's voice and the fact she actually sounds like a little girl is great. But yeah, I know y'all like talking about the social sims, the dating life, and all that kind of stuff when it comes to Persona. But what does all that matter when it comes to the game of Persona 4, the combat? All things considered, the Shin Megami Tensei and Persona series have very simple combat systems about exploiting weaknesses. This is no different here, and in Persona 4 Revival, they've given you more tools in order to do so. Honestly, people were complaining about this, but I am very glad they kept the dungeon layouts mostly the same. I like my simple dungeons, thank you very much. But when you're exploring the dungeons, of course you're going to come across shadows. Either way, the way you traverse around shadows in this game is a little bit different. While you can run away from them and you're given a run button, if you can predict when a shadow is going to attack, you can guard against them and then attack it for the advantage, or you can just run away and do your business. I do like this change a little bit because it gives more options for the player, but I can kind of see it as being less punishing. However, it's Persona 4, so I'm not that worried about it. But the actual meat of the combat is what I'm excited to see because there are 3 new systems added. Of course, we do get the baton pass from Persona 5. If y'all remember how that works, essentially whenever you hit an enemy's weakness, you can pass the turn to another party member so they can use another move that they have. Send Flying is a new mechanic where you can inflict a status ailment on an enemy and then follow up with a physical attack to send that enemy flying to hit another enemy, and then they get inflicted with that status ailment. More than anything, I think what the combat designers are trying to do is to make status ailments more important or integral to the gameplay with Send Flying. Because usually in a Persona game, while a status ailment will hurt you and your party members, I never found myself inflicting status ailments on particular enemies. Unless there was a particular benefit, like with the Reaper in the original Persona 5 release. Come on, y'all, I know some of y'all remember the Reaper Despair exploit, but that's the thing, even in Persona 5, I only found myself using Despair, not any other status ailments. So a mechanic like this would emphasize the importance of it, and to help you give a much better advantage in battle. The last mechanic that was added to battle is Prime Time. Now when you're exploring the dungeon and in combat, you will have a meter. Considering how they talked about it, I hope Prime Time doesn't become too exploitable, because when you activate Prime Time, you get 4 more turns, all your abilities don't cost anything, and you can finish off the entire Prime Time with an explosive attack. This can be a balanced mechanic that will work within the confines of the game, or it can get broken really quickly. I'm hoping it's the former, but knowing how Persona 4 is as a game, there's probably going to be some skill or social link that makes it fill up faster, or a consumable that does that as well. Either way, it still looks awesome. I mean, even for the primetime finishes, they're incorporating stuff from Persona 4 Arena. And as someone who is not only introduced to Persona through Persona 4, but also Persona 4 Arena, I just can't help having a huge smile on my face. And one nice touch about the combat UI, I really do enjoy it because you have it in a TV and how the command list is set to a TV dial. I like it because it's way more clear the aesthetic it's going for. There were previous Atlus games that did copy Persona 5's controls and when it comes to battle mechanics, but they really didn't nail the style down. And Persona 4 Revival nails that style here. The fact that it is a TV dial and that the entire screen is a TV, it just looks cool. That also brings me to the fact that I'm hoping they actually do incorporate things from Persona 4 the animation, because I love that anime. It expands upon Persona 4, there's some really funny moments. Atlus, can you please re-release this anime, or someone get with the contacts with anyone, please re-release that anime already. And if there's anything else to talk about, whether it be Persona, because we know how the Persona system works, you know, you fuse Personas, but oh my god, I am loving how the Velvet Room looks in Persona 4 Revival. Like, you got Igor coming up in the limousine to pick up you, and he's like, hey, come in here, kid, it's time to fuse some Personas. and we actually do see you in the Velvet Room. So I really do like that they went with that stylized choice. But when it comes to the actual story of Persona 4, I know the full story of Persona 4, and I'm excited to experience it again. But the one thing I am excited for when it comes to Persona 4 Revival, sure, we could be excited about the new graphics, the gameplay experiences, and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, it's just to play Persona 4 again. And not just that, but there's an all-new audience of people who will get to experience Persona 4 for the first time. This story about these young teens in a small town trying to figure out a murder mystery, but also finding themselves in the process. Yeah, sure, we're gonna have debates about who's best girl. It's gonna be Marie. But at the end of the day, this is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. And while I can besmirk the idea of remakes, these remakes do bring in a new audience. Even in my day job, I talk to younger people who get to experience remakes and that's their first time with it, and they still enjoyed it despite the fact. Like, yeah, I can tell them to check out the original, and I usually do. Remakes create conversation. It gets people interested again. And no matter what version you play, Persona 4, Persona 4 Golden, Persona 4 Revival, or even Persona 4 the animation, as long as you're not watching the Golden animation, at the end of the day, it's Persona 4. Even in the Revival broadcast, hearing the director talk about how much they really wanted to expand upon Persona 4, but also please the fans of the original, as long as they keep the original story and messages of the game intact, at the very least, that gives me some comfort.